The Garnet and Old show. No inside info, no contacts, no voice, no problem. I'm Ryan. That's Vince. Vince, this is my moment. This is my flu game.
Yeah, I just posted that just so people know that tonight is going to be a little bit, would you say a little sketchy tonight?
Yeah, a little sketchy. I got the flu a couple days ago, and I've been kind of dancing through it. I sound like I've been smoking my whole life.
It really does. And earlier today, when you texted me and said, "Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this show tonight," um, I was like, "Well, we'll see. It's going to be, 10 hours from now or whenever it was." So compared to this morning when you texted me, have you gone upward or downward?
So it's interesting. I know everyone gets the flu sometimes. The first day you're kind of wondering, is my throat sore, or is it just like maybe I
Right.
had a little dry air in the room last night, and then it's when you wake up that first morning and you're like,
Mm,
oh, I can't, like when you go to drink that first glass of water and it's apparent that it hurts really badly,
yeah.
and then so it went downhill for 2 days straight where congestion and a lot of coughing. That has all for the most part subsided, so now I just am left with a shell of a voice. My moneymaker, Vince. What am I supposed to do? I can't.
No, there's no doubt about it. It's the moneymaker. And question for you: when the sore throat starts to make itself known, are you a saltwater gargler?
My wife swears by that, Vince.
Hmm.
Um, I go with the good old antiseptic, like mouthwash.
Yeah.
I believe it does the same thing. I think it accomplishes the same thing, and I believe that the salt water and the antiseptic only you clean things. I don't think it's actually ever prevented anyone from getting a cold if they're going to get a cold or a sore throat
Oh
if they're
yeah,
going to
yeah.
get a
It's
sore
not
throat.
a preventative. It's more of a drying out the badness, I guess. But it's nasty, right? I remember my parents. We didn't need to gargle with salt water. Like, oh man, there's a lot of things I would rather do than that. Um,
That's spoiler free, but how'd you like the first episode of House of the Dragon, huh?
we've had two, right? Have we had two episodes?
If
Or
I
was
think
that, or this past weekend, the first one?
only one, yeah, only one.
Oh, yeah, loved it. Yeah, I'm kind of discombobulated on that. It was great. Um, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Now, this is old school, right? Because we got to wait a whole week before we get to watch the next one. They don't release them all, and so you can binge watch them. So we're gonna have to enjoy it as we used to do back in the old days. But I thought the first episode was great. Um, there is man, Alicent. Not a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here?
Morals,
Not a lot of virtue left going on
yeah,
there, right? So
yeah.
we
Christian
won't
Cole and her are living the double life, huh?
we won't spoil anything for anybody that's watching, but we want to welcome everybody to the show. Ryan, do you want to handle that, or do you want me to do it since you're not feeling right?
No, I'm gonna welcome Doyle Smith to the show. Welcome, Doyle.
Hey, Doyle, welcome to the show.
Just as an update for our winners of the um, gift cards for your purchase of EA Sports College Football. Seminoles, who I'm sure will watch this inevitably, I just sent you your Xbox gift card, digital gift card that you can redeem right from the store. And for the second winner, which I have right here. I don't want to forget our second winner Kenneth, who I'm not sure
Right.
what his name is on the actual show, but Kenneth did win a copy PlayStation. But for whatever reason, when you buy a digital gift card, it takes a little bit longer for PlayStation to generate the code. But
Mm-hmm.
I have purchased it, and I'm just waiting for the code to come in, and then I will email that out. So congratulations once again to the winners of the copy of EA Sports College Football. And if you would like a chance to win another copy of College Football and a console of your choice, help us get to 2,000 subs before the release of College Football 25, which we're only like 3 weeks away now, Vince.
Yeah, it's actually 29 days until the release, and if you're an early person, you're going to get it 26 days from now. I think, isn't it 3 days ahead of the normal release date?
3 days ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So what Ryan said is the absolute truth. If you want to win a copy of the game and a console, how about that? We're trying to get to 2,000. I'm not going to lie to you people. It's going slow. It's going real slow.
It's that time of year.
But I'm going to hold out hope that we can hit that 2,000 mark by the time the date hits, just like we all held out hope as we watched this college baseball season. So let's get into that a little bit, Ryan, since that seems to be, a very positive thing to talk about.
Yeah, being that I was home yesterday, Vince, working remote for my job while I was trying to battle this flu. In the background, I had the game on near the end of the day, and a heartbreaking way to go out. We had a chance, I believe it was the top of bottom of the 8th or bottom of the 7th, where we had runners on first and third with 0 outs, and probably the worst base running I've ever seen happen from third to home. I'm not sure what we were doing there, where the base runner hesitated. In baseball, you never hesitate. You either stay or you go and haul ass. So I think, Vince, that was our one chance, because what you're looking at there is scoring one, and at the time Tennessee had 6 points and we had 2. That would have made it 6-3 with a man on second and first and 0 outs. And then you're like, okay, if we happen to get a home run here or something wild like that, we could be a tie ball game. But after that base running mistake, you kind of knew it was over. At least I did.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed, just in general, with the way the pitching staff held up. Because let's face it, that first game should have been a victory, right? And people can say, well, what about this? What about that? But that non-call was the end of the game, right? That was the end of the game. So we're not going to pretend like every one of those things that happened in that game were equal in terms of the outcome of the game, because it's just not true. So then we got to go through the losers bracket. And we all, if you're following the team, that, the bullpen has been, not where we need it to be. Right. So it was going to be a tough haul to get, but they held up. I mean, they held up, and they got, as a matter of fact, it's an interesting thing, because I was not as nervous for that second Tennessee game as I was going through the losers bracket. Like, those games to me were more like I was very nervous. I was very nervous. But once the Tennessee game hit, the second one, I don't know. I just felt calm about the season in general. And if it was going to end, it was going to end.
And Tennessee's a good team.
No, there's no doubt. And they're really, they're really good.
Yeah.
But the fact that we had to, kind of makeshift the pitching throughout the losers bracket caused the beginning of that Tennessee game to be what it was. And, the base running, there's not a lot of room for error.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of errors as far as like base running and that kind of thing. and it's just, I say no complaints because, the rivals are going to troll and say, you've been there 24 times and you've never won it. That doesn't hurt me at all.
Yeah.
This team there was nobody that thought what happened was going to happen. Nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, they maybe thought that, but there was no one after last season. So to watch this team basically dominate throughout the season, a couple rough spots here and there, but really not a lot. And then go through the regionals, go through the super regionals, and just dominate that. They get a bad break in that first game.
I do want to
with the
address
Volunteers.
that.
They get a bad break. And then, unfortunately, the one, I would say the one real Achilles heel on that team would be the bullpen. So, but even so, I mean, they still made it happen.
Absolutely. I do want to address that going back to game one, because this is the first chance you and I have had to talk since that game one. I want to separate two things for everyone. I put a post out there that said, hot take. We lost, no excuses. I want to clarify my point a little bit more. I think, especially since the snub, that there is an ease of, let's just say there's a grand conspiracy against everything Florida State, and that we're just getting screwed. And listen, I know not everyone made those claims, but do I think it was a bad call? Yeah. It should have been strike, right?
Sure.
Do bad calls happen often in baseball? I've watched baseball my whole life, and bad calls happen every game where if you are watching, you're like, what was that? What was that called a strike? What was that called a ball? That was not an out, that kind of thing. And so you can be mad about a bad call like you would in any game of any sport that you care anything about. But we have to, as a fan base, stop defaulting to the grander narrative of the social media temptation of we are getting screwed. Like there's some kind of anti-FSU cabal that's out here screwing us intentionally. Bad calls happen in baseball every time. And to be honest with you, even if that is called, I'm still not sure that we win that game. So you can't just say we definitely win 100% without a question.
Well, we can.
The series. No, I'm talking about
the series. No, yeah, correct. That
double
game,
elimination.
Yes. Yeah, there's no
double elimination. There's no guarantee that we make it to a national title, but I just want to make sure people stop automatically taking a bad call and just automatically defaulting to we were screwed by the system or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and our fan base currently is percolating with that because of what happened, right?
Yeah.
Every fan base does it, but our fan base right now is really like involved in that, and I'm not a believer in that, by the way. I do believe that Herb Street is a doofus. I do believe that he's disingenuous, and he is he is there's no self-awareness, right? So I do believe that, but I do not believe that the third base umpire not calling that check swing a strike, that's not a conspiracy.
No.
That's just a human being missing a call.
Yeah.
A very obvious call, mind you.
Sure.
But very obvious things get missed a lot. Ryan, I went to a minor league baseball game here in Jacksonville last week.
The Jumbo Shrimp?
Jumbo Shrimp, by the way, great time. If you live in this area and you've never gone, you should go. And in the minor leagues, at least for the Shrimp, every pitch can be the batter can disagree with a pitch, the call on a pitch. The catcher can as well. So the ump calls it a ball, and the catcher says, I'm going to challenge that. And they have camera work, and the camera work can overturn, what the umpire said. And if it's strike and the batter thought it was a ball, that you can challenge it, and they'll show you. It comes up on the big screen, and you see where the ball went, and it gets overruled. We have the technology for these kinds of things, right? And check swing included. We have the technology to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Even if it's something as simple as a review, which is not currently reviewable, but apparently Link Jarrett has already been asking for that to be something that can be a reviewed play. Regardless.
And with AI events, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
We shouldn't even have umpires anymore. I'm a firm believer in that you could, based on 4K imagery, precision. They show you like on the games, like if you're watching every Gamecast or something, you see the dot exactly where the pitch landed in the strike zone. With all the technology we have and AI, I do believe in some point we get to a point where baseball you don't have an umpire, and it's just all technology. I would actually prefer that, not only for baseball, Vince. I would like that for first downs in football, like default to it's called on the field, but any question go to AI analysis.
Right.
I would like that, because I think we're at that point now with technology where if we're sitting at home and saying we can see that, then why can't a computer make that call too?
Yeah, the only thing that I would say to that, being the old part of the show, is that there's something that we would miss with having the umpires in the game, and we would miss the things like the things I watch on social media all the time, which is coaches going out and arguing with the umpires, right? That's part of the fun of the game, is to watch people get their ass in the jackpot. Right. And those kind of things. So I would miss that. I wouldn't miss the blown calls. I do believe that, at least at the major league level, except for if you're Angel Hernandez, I think the quality of the umpiring in the major leagues is top notch, and they are way more right than wrong. But the human element, is somebody's posting about that. I kind of enjoy that, even though it really went against us in that game.
But why don't you go ahead and, it's a good point in the show, put up the call-in number, and if anyone wants to call in at any point during the show and chime in to our conversation or bring up a point or make a comment, anything we're talking about, we will bring you live on the air on the Garnet Old Show. So there's the number right there on the screen, 850-583-4466. The only thing we ask is that if you call in, just mute your YouTube channel, your computer speakers, while you're asking and talking back and forth to Vince. But yeah, let's leave that up there, Vince, and we'll continue to talk about this. You guys can call in if you want to talk about or comment about the baseball stuff, recruiting, whatever you got. So we'll leave that up on the screen.
Yeah, it's more than just a segment. It's just, partially because, we're trying to save Ryan's voice a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have the call-in number ready and available through the majority of the show here. Ed Lemick says, don't take away the human element of the game. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, unfortunately, we get some pain with that too. And again, unfortunately, Florida State was on the wrong end of that particular call in that particular game. And I think it did make a difference in our ability to weather the entire bracket.
For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, who are watching on other channels, whether it be X or Facebook, we have the number up on the screen, but I will also post it for all of you in the chat in case you want to call in.
Yeah, the number is 850-583-4466, 850-583-4GNO.
Do you want to give a shout out, Nick Snyder? Welcome back to the show. Hey, if any of you are in the chat and want to become a Garnet Old member too, there's a join button there, and you can pick a membership level. Vince, once I am fully healthy, I know there's a person from another show that wants to do another show with us. Maybe we make that a member only show here in the next week or two.
Yeah, we can talk about that for sure.
Yep.
Speaking of other shows, just so I don't forget, Spiratics has a show going at 8 p.m. And so Ryan and I are going to talk about recruiting quite a bit here in a little bit. And then, you can get a ton of more recruiting information, maybe a nugget or two if when it's time, when 8 o'clock hits and you go up and you change the channel on the TV to head over and watch Chris do his thing. So his show goes off at 8.
Yeah, and we have officially people entered the dry zone until fall camp. I mean, this is where we're waiting for fall to start. We want football back. We all want football back. And we're going to get, I think, in the next coming weeks, we're really going to start honing in on this coming team, the schedule, what we expect out of the team this coming year. So expect a lot of football talk as we wind down on the baseball season talk. We have
got
a call coming
Ryan.
through.
Call from
Eli.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Stand by, everyone.
Eli, are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you guys?
Doing great tonight. Welcome to the show. Ryan, you can hear him okay?
Vince, I can hear him fine, but I cannot hear you very well.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Eli.
Yeah, great to be on the show. You guys have really great content. Love watching you guys. Do you think if Florida State had won like that first game against Tennessee, like with us being, because I think they would have beat North Carolina, but if they faced Tennessee again, do you think they could have gone like to the final round of the College World Series? Because I think we would have had like one of our aces off the pitch, if I remember how the rotation worked out.
Yeah, I mean, speculation.
Vince, you're still quiet, so we need to go ahead and end the call. Thanks, Eli. We're gonna take it off the air and talk about it when you guys call in.
Hello?
Yep. Just post your question. We'll go from there.
Eli, we're gonna hang up. I think for some reason my microphone is kind of gone off a little bit, so we're gonna hang up. And we won't answer your question.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
That's weird. Am I
Thanks.
back now?
Yeah, you're just a little quiet still, which is odd. But yeah, to give my opinion, Eli, I think we have another call coming in.
Go ahead, Ryan.
What's ringing over top of the show?
Call from
Doyle Smith.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, Doyle.
Hey.
Hey,
what's
hold
up,
on for a
Vince?
second, right? We got to answer this question, then we'll get to yours.
Okay.
So yeah, Vince, I think it's impossible to know. Eli, great question. I think, of course, we would have had a better shot, right? We would have had a better shot to make it to the final, game. Listen, who would have known, right, that we would even make it as far as we did from coming from last season to this season? So I hate to get into the what ifs game because things happen in every football, baseball, basketball game that tick you off and make you think what could have been. Like, what could have been if Florida State had Jordan Travis in the bowl game? Do you think we would have had a better shot, to make it on the play? Like, those kind of thoughts just serve to piss me off more than anything. So I try to avoid those kind of thoughts. But yeah, great question, Eli. I do think we would have had a better shot, but I don't think we should ruminate on that.
I will put numbers on it. If you win that first game, you save a lot of arms, and you are definitely going to win the next game, right? So you're going to go into that the loser bracket, or I'm sorry, you're in the winner's bracket, and by the time the loser bracket shakes itself out, you're 2-0, and you've had quite a bit of rest, and so then you would have 2 games then to win one more game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the chances are greater than probably 75% that you do that. Now you still have to go and win. You still have to go and win the final series, right? And that would be against the Aggies, right? So, but yeah, I think we would have made it to. I do think we would have made it to the final series had we won that first game, and I think the chances of that happening were pretty high. All right, Doyle, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing great, buddy. It's good to hear from you.
I am so proud of this team. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Don't make me cry. But so my question is, if we had Jamie Arnold in there instead, did we already cover this? Did you guys already talk about this? I mean, I was just kind of wondering, why would we not go with our best pitcher against Tennessee, even though he didn't have a good time with Tennessee the first time? But still, you know, we had Carson Dorsey that was like smoking it, you know. And anyway, I don't know. Go with that.
We'll do, and because of the way this volume is working, we're going to hang up, Doyle, and we'll answer it off when you're offline.
Okay, sounds good, man.
Thank you.
Vince, I'm going to let you take that one.
Yeah, here's the thing about that is I don't. Link said he wasn't ready, which is what Chuck Stone is saying, who's a member, by the way. Chuck Stone is a member. Welcome, Chuck. Link said he wasn't ready. What that means, I mean, I'm not a coach, but to me, yeah, to me, that is saying that there was something about that length of time that that Arnold had, where the coaching staff did not feel it was good for him from a health perspective. And so that's kind of what I'm saying is that, you know, we ran through the gambit of our staff, and even, you know, even though they did as well as they did, and it was almost a week later, Arnold wasn't ready. So you can't run. I don't want our coaches to run guys out there just because, you know, he's our ace. If he's not ready health-wise, I think that's the wrong thing to do, not just for him, but it's the wrong thing to do as far as the way you run the program. Now, if you're talking about it being the final series, the final game, maybe that happens at that point, but at that point he would have had a lot more rest as well.
No, I agree. Here's the thing: coaches know their team better than anyone. Link knows better than anyone that, and he said it a bunch of times, that pitching's got to get better, like from a bullpen perspective, from top to bottom. You know, look at Tennessee's pitching staff. Look at top to bottom who they have. They have a group of pitchers than we do. Now, we've done a lot in a short amount of time, and we had a killer offense this year, so it made up for a lot of the potential, one-off games where we had to start someone who maybe isn't great. But look at what he's done in a short amount of time. The turnaround season from last season to this season. I look at it very much like Norvell. Like, okay, well, what now starts happening in recruiting in the transfer portal now that we've proven he can win? I think you see kind of like a mirror image happening as Norvell had, where we're going to start seeing guys that are like, oh, Florida State, man, they're ready to win again. They're invested. Let's go there. So I don't think the pitching problem will be a problem for long.
Agreed. And you know, most of our pitching problems started because people got hurt early in the season. Yeah. So that depth wasn't there. But Link did what he had to do. And I don't even want to call it like cobbling together a team this year, but in a way, I mean, a lot of transfers. What Link did is very similar to what Mike did, in that he brought people from other places, and they gelled together because of the culture, and he cares about them, which is why he didn't throw Jamie when he shouldn't have. That is going to attract more players. So I use this statement all the time with the football team. I am highly confident in this staff.
Mhm.
I am also highly confident in the baseball staff. They know what they're doing, and I do believe that before I kick the bucket, Florida State will be winning a college World Series, maybe multiple, because of Link.
Vince, this is a great time, real quick, to do a quick pivot. So
Nothing
here's
on
the
that.
thing.
Nothing.
Yeah. Thanks. It says I've been away. Did you finish Lost? So here's the thing. I have seen Lost multiple times over. Vince is in the middle of watching it, but it's a
I
very
got
busy
sidetracked.
watch season. You got House of the Dragon. I know I don't think Vince watches this, but I'm also watching The Boys, which is an Amazon Prime show. So there's a lot of shows out that are occupying time. I know Vince just had a bunch of family into town, but like 2 weeks ago. So Vince, when do you think you're going to get your next shot at watching Lost?
Probably this weekend. So that is the plan. But I also probably need to start rewatching Cobra Kai because that's about to start again.
You're going to be all in for a while.
Yeah. But I do promise, I'll just make a promise. I will make a commitment right now. This is a hard commitment that I will have new content that I have watched from Lost so we can bore the listeners and the watchers about that next week.
Yeah, I think next week when we do that, Vince, I want to get your updated take on what overall is happening.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's switch gears. What do we got the next, Vince?
Let's see, what do we got? And remember, the phone lines are still open. So let's talk about legal happenings real quick because there's really not much to talk about here, and that'll save the rest of the time.
Which is good because Doug is doing a sabbatical.
Yeah, Doug is on sabbatical right now. Doug is hiking out in the Rockies area, I believe. So he is without service, but he sends his good wishes. And by the way, as a reminder, if you live in the Atlanta area, Doug and Rohan Law are putting on a seminal get together at Scofflaw Brewing on June 29th, which is not this weekend, but the following weekend. Shannon, my wife, and I will be there. Ryan, you will not be there, or you will be there?
I will not be in Atlanta now.
So legal happenings. So we had your typical Judge Cooper scenario going on Tuesday. Was it Tuesday?
Standing up for the Noles, yeah.
Standing up for the Noles. Kind of a meandering, usual kind of what we're used to by now with him. But the end result of that is the ACC gained no ground. They were all of those things were denied as far as the things that were a part of that hearing. But nothing earth shattering. Like it's all stuff that we expected to happen.
Absolutely. Now, some other interesting stuff did happen, Vince. Specifically, I want to just put this up on the screen.
We'll do it. Yeah. I think a lot of people, if you're in the social media world, I think a lot of people saw this from Josh Pate. Not someone that I typically follow for any kind of breaking news or anything. He's more of a, I don't know, entertainment than anything else.
He
I
does
guess.
have connections, though.
Yeah. So what
People
is
claiming who that guy wouldn't have any connections don't know what they're talking about. He does
No,
have
I mean,
connections.
People
Yeah.
talk, and he would be in the circle of people that would know some things. So, what is that about, Ryan? In your opinion, what is the Jurassic Park water cup?
I believe
moving around. What is that about?
I believe it's my own opinion. And this opinion is formulated by hearing and talking to many different people. So not a single individual, not just Josh, not just anyone, but many individuals. I believe that Florida State will settle this lawsuit. And I've been saying this for quite a long time. Settle this lawsuit and announce exit before August.
Yeah, I think you and I are both. Oh, settle as in like we know the numbers.
Yes.
Okay, that I don't think is going to be true. But I am in agreement with you that the decisions have been made, that there is going to be a public announcement. This is, again, my opinion.
Mhm.
There's going to be a public announcement um, prior to a date that it has to be done by, that Florida State intends to not be a member of this conference after this season.
Yes, and I did hear from 2 different people, including someone that I trust very well, that it'll be like we're out. Like this is the last season in the ACC. Like this season.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would hope for that. So that's what I believe, that that's what that's about as well. If it's anything other than just trolling for people to, clickbait or whatever,
It's not.
if there's really something behind that image, I believe that's what it is. And if you recall, if you watched our show from a few weeks ago, um, Chris, who was on our show for a little bit, kind of indicated that there were some significant things happening, and that the time frame for that would be late June to mid to late July. Um, and those are the things that he said, and those are the things that I've heard. Um, Again, anything can happen, and I I'm not trying to be cryptic. I don't have the detail. It's more of like people are saying this is the time frame to look out for something significant to happen.
Yeah, and for those of you who want a little man, that mute button is getting some work today.
Yeah, good for you.
Um wondering a little bit behind the scenes, like what goes on. Like we don't get someone texting us like, hey, here's exactly what they're gonna say, the day they're gonna say it. Um, here's all the details. That's not how these things work. What you end up doing is hearing from a few different people from a few different areas that you trust and kind of piecing together and finding where they all align in agreement about certain areas of a story. So
Yeah.
I've heard different versions with slight differentiations on timing and what the situation will be from a few different people. But what you do is you find where they all have in common. And what they all have in common is that we're definitively leaving the conference. We will announce it, I'm hearing, sooner rather than later. And this will be the final season in the ACC. When that happens, the venue in which it happens, is it after a settlement? Is it prior to a settlement? And they'll just continue on with the lawsuit while they announce. We don't have that information. No inside info, no contacts, no problem. Now we do have some contacts, but I would encourage you guys. In addition, like of course we love having you guys on this show, but there are some really, really solid people to follow if you want the late breaking, like when things are going to happen as they get closer or as they happen, like breaking news type places. Like we trust Vince and I. We talk about all the time. After the show's over, go watch Spear Addicts. We know Chris and we trust what Chris says. There are a few other people that we also trust, but that's why we point you to places like Spear Addicts and we leave out other places that do a lot of clickbaity type work.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the thing about that is we only have so many hours in the day to consume all this passion fan stuff that we want to consume, right? And there's a lot of misdirection out there, and it's something that I don't want to waste my time on. And so, in the years that I've been, following this stuff, there are certain people that if I see things that line up among those people that I trust, then I'm confident to talk about it, right? But if I don't see it line up, then it's really not worth it for us to talk about. So but there are people out there that have some connections that are pretty deep. So that's, that's the way to do it. What else in terms of legal happenings? I mean, that's pretty much it, except if you want to talk about how the ACC was trying to get Clemson to not sue prior to August. There's something there, people. They were in email communication back and forth, ACC and the Clemson team, about trying to hold Clemson off from getting into any kind of legal, like actually formal legality stuff before August. And I think Clemson was looking to maybe kind of do that, but something changed. But August is an important month. Is an important month. There is something there. You're muted, Ryan.
I was wondering. Not only that, but from a recruiting side too, Vince, it's going to be a very important next few weeks. So
yeah, for sure. Let's get to recruiting. This is really the biggest topic of the night. And Ryan, we've got a couple more people that join the chat here that are normally here. If you want to shout them out real quick while I pull this up.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to say hello to Douglas Zikafus. Welcome to the show. Of course, Ed. Couldn't do it without you. Nick Snyder. We already shouted out Doyle Smith. I do also want to shout out Chuck Stone, Stoking the Flame. And last but not least, the only person I see that was talked earlier in the show was Breeze Frey, a member, a Garnet Old member. Yeah, welcome all to the show. Thanks for being a part of the show. If you are a member, thanks for being a member and supporting us. This is how we are able to do the show. So Vince, talk to me, Goose, about this weekend's recruiting.
This weekend is the big weekend. We've been talking about this, for weeks. All the sites have been talking about this for weeks. All the YouTube shows, they've all been talking about this weekend. And not that the other weekends weren't important. If you look back, the first week of June there, June 7th through 9, that was a great weekend. And I put some smiley faces next to the recruits. Not that we're going to sign them, but that is trending up in a big way, right? Obviously, Ethan Pritchard is already a commit. So when you're looking at the legend here, the smiley face is an upward trajectory to note, right? Last weekend, Justice Terry was here, and he is someone that the Noles would love to have. Just an amazing talent, and it's been quite a while since we've gotten that level of talent on the defensive line. He decommitted from USC yesterday. So he was a USC commit, decommitted yesterday. And I believe that he is going to be going to Georgia this weekend for a visit. So I'm not real confident that Justice Terry is leaning toward the Noles. I'm be more like he is leaning more toward Georgia in that scenario. Zadrius Rainey Sale is one that I think, we have a great shot at. And right now, actually, they just finished up some midweek visits for the folks that you see there on the Right Now box. Jared Smith, great visit. He's going to be doing his commitment in the early part of August. I don't think there's a date yet. The other ones, I have some dates there for their commitments, but the other ones on there, I don't really have any kind of, good vibe on whether they're leaning this way or not. I would say with the Jared Smith one, I think a lot of ground there not made up, but a lot of ground consumed, and he would love it. He would love it here, and he's stated as such. So this weekend, Ryan, is the big weekend, and you can see the long list of people there. Ryan, have you been paying attention to the Elite 11?
I did see some Jermel Jones highlights, and I like the look of his arm. He's got my man has a strong arm. I think he was 15 of 20 on passing. So yeah, he had a good camp. I'm just excited to have a lot of 5-stars on campus. That's what I'm happy about, Vince.
Yeah, that's why the football is next to his name, because he is balling out. And after the first day, he was listed as the leader at the competition. I think today, I think they had him around 7, 8, somewhere around there. So 3-star next to his name is deceiving. But we all know that, right? That happened with Luke as well. So that's going real well. And if you look at the top of this list, do you recall, and I saw some people post about this, do you recall us having 3 5-star offensive linemen on a visit at the same time? I don't recall that ever happening.
The closest we would have gotten is like peak Jimbo when we were, I would say like 2012 through 2014, because a lot of people forget we got a lot of good recruits visiting, even recruits signing, but we just never developed anyone, and it seemed like we lost anyone that everyone was either injured or transferred or didn't pan out. But definitely, it's just good to see talent flocking to the Garnet and I almost said Garnet Old, to the Garnet and Gold once again.
Garnet and Gold and the Garnet and Old, those guys
Yeah.
can lock in here as well if they want to. Solomon Thomas, that's going to be a fight down at the end. He's currently committed, but it's just, if you are a 5-star offensive lineman, you are going to fight that battle until the day they sign, and then you're going to fight it after that too. So, anyone else on this list? They got the local kid, Jalen Wiggins, who's a Tallahassee kid who's committed to the Gators right now. I'm excited to get him on campus and have him be around the team and see if that momentum continues for him to maybe change his mind.
We hope so.
Let's see. Anyone else in this list that is kind of trending? I think they one of the guys from one of the sites put in a crystal ball for Vernell Brown to go to Florida. I think it was Florida. And then, yeah, I think those are the main ones that I have some good vibes on. Tavian Wallace as well, I guess. There's some good smoke around that. But ultimately, Ryan, the staff is leading up to about to unleash the marketing blitz of fireworks. And if you want to know, if you want to know more specifically about that, or you want to know more specifically, I'm sure Chris is going to dive into that a little later on his show. Put a comment in that says we still look light at QB. Tremel Jones his star ranking is going to go up. He's pretty much locked in. If you watch Sporadics, if you watch James Coleman's show, James Coleman is a coach at Mandarin High, which is the school that Tremel Jones is from. And Tremel Jones is pretty locked in on the Seminoles. Not to say something couldn't happen, but there's a lot of, if you don't think what you say and do matters on social media, you need to change your mind about that and understand that what you say and do matters. So there has been some ridiculousness on social about him because he took a visit to Florida not that long ago. So, be careful what you say. You don't want to turn people off if you can help it. We also have a 2026 quarterback was on campus this week. Brady Smeagol, I think his name is, from California. There are already people putting in crystal balls or predictions for him to lock in with the Noles pretty quickly.
Man, I just love that everyone's on site. And I also love Vince on a, let's see, there was nothing at the Board of Trustees meeting. There was.
There really wasn't. And
Doug
I put that thumbnail out today with the Board of Trustees with the question mark in there because I had no idea what they were going to talk about. And I listened to that thing and it was nothing. It was a whole lot of nothing. But that's kind of where we are right now, right? We're waiting. We're waiting for that word to come.
Absolutely. And Vince, we got that was the nothing burger. We have dug out, but still over 140 of you have decided to join us live on the Garnet Old show. You would think that we had some late breaking news. We appreciate it because one thing I do want to mention, Vince, and this is probably the last thing I'll be able to actually even get my voice to say. I think it's really important for us. I know it's important when you and I talk about it on a personal level about the show, about our, the people that watch. Our concern, our only concern is always about the show and the content and what we like to talk about. So the fact that we have this many of you that choose to listen to us every week, in some weeks it's different, some weeks it's higher, lower, whatever. I always want to keep in mind and let all of you know that our focus is never going to be on just strictly, hey, getting the next subscriber and increasing every week. That's great if it happens, but we want to do quality content every week on time with good people involved in our show and good fans that like to talk to us and like to talk to each other. That's why we do this show. We started the show never thinking we would have an audience years ago, just because we're fans and we want to talk about Florida State and we want to keep it that way. So I just want to let you guys know, even in the slow times of the year when we have, non-football traffic, we appreciate you guys, and we know that you could listen to any other show and you choose to hang out with us, and we appreciate it.
Wow, that's quite the commercial, Ryan. And it's all from the heart, which I love, and his voice is going, but I will take over from here and just say, if wherever you're watching right now, if you can like it, if you can subscribe to it, and if you could share it out, it helps us out a lot. It gets the show out there so other people can find it. And so if you would do that, we would appreciate it. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, if you could rate it, Ryan and I rarely talk about that, but if you could rate the podcast, that goes a long way too to get us higher in the list. You know how this stuff works. But we would appreciate that. You can follow us on X at Garnet_Old. You can follow Ryan at Big Papa East, and I am at VC Knoll. Couple other things here. Ryan already talked about the supporting. We'd have Super Chat. We haven't talked about Super Chat in a while. This is how you know Ryan and I are just love talking about this stuff. Like we even forget to talk about these things. Super Chat, memberships. We got a Venmo there if you're interested in that. It helps us keep the lights on. I will remind everybody that we will be doing a members only show here shortly. We meant to do it last week, or this past weekend, but Ryan not feeling too well, kind of put the kibosh on that a little bit. But one is on the way. And then after we're done here in about a minute or so, head on over to Spearatics and watch Chris. That's what I'm going to do. Ryan's probably going to do it as well. Although Ryan will not be able to chime in unless he's chatting. He can chime in on the chat.
Yeah, sooner or later, I'm going to have to use AI to talk for me,
That's right. And we don't need any umpires. We're going to use AI Ryan. That'll do the show live from wherever we want him to do it from. But let's kind of wrap this up, Ryan. We're still trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. Help us out there. And Ryan, do you have the voice to say your line?
Hey, just as a quick tease, screw ESPN eternally and go watch Theoretics, because you're gonna get some good stuff probably tonight in this show, but there's excitement going on in the air.
Yeah, there is. And I'm about to hop over there. And Chris, if you want to text me after your show, that'd be great. I would love to get a little bit, maybe if you've got any more to offer. And I will say, send Chiefs all the damn time. Yeah, I mean, what more is there to say? Go Noles.
The only thing left to say is go Noles. Have a great night, everyone.